Welcome back, guys. Those of you who watched the first part of me making this character, the mechanical side of this. So now we're going to talk a little bit more about the background of the character. We'll get an idea of who the character is. So any of you who missed the first part, this is Dahei, the Henjokai Cardmaster. Henjokai are the Shapeshifters, Cardmaster, and I think we are a Master of Luck is the subclass that we picked. Um, they use cards to cast spells. We know a few things about Henjokai, but the main thing that we're trying to answer is how did we go from being your average shapeshifter, because that's what Henjokai are, to being a member of the Shard of Agathos and an adventurer and a mercenary. So to answer some of that, we want to look at the uh, the backstory for the Henjokai. So these are people that were born as humans, and they realized at like a coming of age point that they could change shape. So we've got a few things. They're fond of tricks. So we probably grew up in human society, and then something happened, and then we realized we could shapeshift. And so when that happened, um, that's probably the catalyst for when we became an adventurer. So grew up. And so we probably, let's say, so if we're a card master, that means we grew up playing cards. We have an affinity for games of chance. So we probably grew up in a kind of rough and tumble place. So I'm going to grab a place from the map that I know. It's a city called Guexes. It's kind of like a city of thieves. Think like Mos Eisley from Star Wars. Um, so we probably grew up there. Uh, we probably knew our family. I don't like killing off my family when I make a character because it gives like a touchstone that you can kind of return to. Um, so grew up in Grex's. We probably got in trouble a few times uh, gambling. Um, and I'm going to do this at the top level. And later I can flesh this out into like full sentences, but really we just want the Cliff Notes version here. So we got in trouble a few times gambling, nothing serious, and basically this rough and tumble place. But then at 16, because that's generally where these things work, generally where these things happen. Um, hey, began manifesting his owl form, uh, waking up in a bed full of feathers each morning, if you know what I mean. And so he started realizing he's changing. And I'm pretty sure this is a he at this point. Kind of some of the other things that we went after kind of said this. Not saying it couldn't be a female. I just have, being male, a tendency to make male characters, but to each their own. Um, so we start waking up each morning in a bed full of feathers. Um, maybe there was an incident. Um, Out one night. Um, the hay. Uh, Out one night, supposed friends attempted to rob the hay uh, after a particularly good streak of luck. Uh, his other form fully manifested, and he fled in terror. Okay, so yeah, we were out with some friends. We won a bunch of money. this is a rough and tumble city. People get greedy. Not everyone who you think is your friend is really your friend. They tried to shank us. So we turned into an owl and owled the fuck out of there. But now they know we can change into an owl. And they still kind of want their money. So they wanna get us. So like any scumbags, they called the cops. Claiming Dahe was a monster in disguise. In fear, Dahe fled the city. Okay, so we got us out from our hometown, but now we have to figure out how did we become a card master. So I like the tale of the devil at the crossroads, or man, or someone on their last legs running from something. They come across this mysterious traveler who offers them power. So Gwexes is in the desert. Out in the desert, running low on food and water, Dahe hallucinated a mysterious stranger who offered Dahe secrets beyond the knowledge men. These things come with a price. In exchange, Dahe. So what do we say we're going to do for them? I like the idea of an uncalled favor. Promised a favor that could not be refused. So now we have some hook. So the DM can then use this as a hook later if we want to mess around in our character's backstory a bit. So from there, we became the Master of Luck. With his newfound power, Dahe disguised himself and snuck back into Gwexes. Because we're chaotic neutral, and some people fucked us over pretty good, and we're gonna get them back to take revenge on those who pushed him from his home. After robbing them blind, disguised an old man, very Odyssey-esque here. His old friends tried to rob him once more, but this time he had the power of the trickster behind him. Dahe needed to flee Gwexes and took charter with the first ship that would take him. Thus, he found himself in the employ of the Shard of Agathis. So there we go. We got ourselves from normal person, kind of a gambler, to all the way to joining the Shard of Agathis, and the story that kind of explains how we got our powers and what incited things. So actually, you know what? We're going to be a bit younger, because this takes place over a relatively shorter amount of time. So we're gonna make him 22, and I'm gonna change his age to let's say 18. So we spent 4 years wandering and learning our powers before we felt confident enough to take our revenge. And so we've got a good chunk of text here. We're maybe missing like a couple of names. Maybe some grammatical cleanup is needed. But we're pretty close to having the full backstory. And that's something that I'm not going to go through here. Those are relatively simple things once you've got the framework of your story in place. So that's how I make my characters end to end. I hope you guys enjoyed this and that it helps you making your own characters. And I look forward to seeing all the cool characters that you guys create. Thank you. Have a good night.